Let me be honest with you right now. Most people will watch this video, feel inspired for about 5 minutes, and then go right back to the exact same financial habits that have been quietly destroying their future. That is just the truth. And if that sounds harsh, good, because you deserve the truth more than you deserve comfort. But here is what I also know. You are not here by accident. Something brought you to this video today, and that something matters. Maybe it is the anxiety that hits you every time you check your bank account. Maybe it is the low-grade stress that follows you around like a shadow, the kind that does not scream but just hums constantly in the background of your life. Maybe you have made a promise to yourself before, maybe 100 times before, that things were going to be different. And yet somehow the months keep passing and the numbers keep not changing, and the gap between where you are and where you want to be keeps feeling wider instead of narrower. I see you. I genuinely do. And this video is for you specifically. Now before we go any further, I want you to know that we have put together some powerful resources linked right below this video in the description. Programs designed to take everything we talk about today and turn it into real, structured, lasting transformation. Not everyone will use them. Most people will scroll right past them. But the people who do not scroll past them, the people who actually decide today is the day, those are the people whose lives look radically different a year from now. Take a look when you are ready. Now let us get into this. Here is the real problem with financial habits. It is not that you do not know what you should do. You probably know you should spend less than you earn. You probably know saving matters. The problem is that knowing and doing are two completely different universes, and the space between those two universes is where most people spend their entire lives. Knowing, but not doing. Feeling ready, but not starting. Waiting for the perfect moment that somehow never actually arrives. And the cost of that gap, that space between knowing and doing, is not just financial. It is emotional. Picture this. You are lying awake at 3 in the morning, and your mind will not stop running calculations. If this comes in, if that goes out, if something unexpected happens, what then? That is not just math, that is fear. That is your nervous system living in a constant state of low-level threat. Studies consistently show that financial stress is one of the leading drivers of anxiety, relationship breakdown, and physical health deterioration. We are talking about real consequences that ripple into every single corner of your life. People who feel financially unstable report significantly lower levels of happiness, even when their income is relatively decent. It is not always about how much you make, it is about how much control you feel you have. And right now, if control feels like a distant concept, you are not alone. The majority of adults are living paycheck to paycheck. The majority of adults have less than $1,000 saved for emergencies. The majority of adults will reach retirement without enough money to actually retire comfortably. That is not a small problem, that is an epidemic hiding in plain sight. But here is where it gets interesting. The people who break free from this cycle, and they do exist, they are not necessarily smarter than you. They did not necessarily start with more money than you. What they did differently was build systems. Not willpower, not inspiration, systems. Because inspiration fades, willpower depletes. But a system keeps running even when you are tired, even when you are stressed, even when life comes at you hard and fast. Let us talk about what those systems actually look like, because this is where real change begins. The first shift is from reactive to proactive. Most people manage money reactively. Something happens, they respond. A bill arrives, they pay it. An opportunity comes, they miss it because there is nothing left. Proactive money management means you decide in advance what happens to every single dollar before it even lands in your account. You stop chasing money and start directing it. The psychological difference this creates is enormous. You go from feeling like a passenger in your own financial life to feeling like the driver. The second shift is making saving automatic and invisible. When saving requires a decision, saving loses. Every time. Because decisions require willpower, and willpower has a daily limit. But when saving happens automatically before you even see the money, something remarkable occurs. You adapt to living on what remains. Research consistently shows that people adjust to automatic savings incredibly well and rarely feel the impact after the first few weeks. You essentially trick your lifestyle into shrinking slightly, and that small shrinkage compounded over time becomes genuinely life-changing. Here's a number to sit with. If you started setting aside just $200 a month today and never touched it, in 20 years, depending on how it is invested, you could be looking at somewhere between $70,000 and over $150,000. That is not magic. That is math. But it is math that most people never let happen because they keep saying they will start later, and later never comes. The third shift is tracking without obsessing. There is a difference between knowing your numbers and being controlled by anxiety about your numbers. Tracking means you look at your spending once a week, calmly, honestly, without judgment. You see the patterns. You see where money is bleeding out quietly. That $40 subscription you forgot about. The small daily purchases that feel invisible but add up to hundreds monthly. Once you see these patterns, you cannot unsee them. And knowledge, real knowledge about your own behavior, is where genuine power lives. The fourth shift is building margin into your life. Margin is the space between what you earn and what you spend. When margin is zero, every unexpected expense becomes a crisis. A flat tire, a medical bill, a broken appliance, they all become emergencies that spiral into debt. But when you have margin, those same events become inconveniences, not disasters, just things that happen. And the emotional freedom that comes from having margin, from knowing you can handle what comes, is something that almost no amount of money can fully describe. It has to be experienced. The fifth shift is thinking in terms of return on your decisions, not just the cost of your decisions. Every financial choice you make has a cost of inaction attached to it. When you choose to spend without intention, the cost is not just the money spent today, it is the compounded future that money could have become. When you choose not to build financial literacy, the cost is every opportunity you will miss because you did not understand how money actually works. The people who think this way, who see every dollar as a decision with a future consequence, are the people who build wealth quietly and steadily while everyone around them wonders how they did it. Now let us talk about what your life actually looks like on the other side of these habits. Because this is where it becomes real. Imagine waking up without that familiar tightening in your chest. Imagine looking at your account and feeling something that is not dread. Imagine having a plan that actually works, one that does not require you to be perfect, one that forgives the hard weeks and still keeps moving forward. Imagine conversations about money that are not laced with shame or fear. Imagine being someone your future self looks back on with gratitude because you made the decision today to stop waiting. That version of your life is not a fantasy. It is a choice. It is a series of small, consistent, intentional actions that build on each other until one day you look up and realize everything is different. Not overnight, but undeniably, permanently different. The truth is, the people who end up financially free are the ones who decided that waiting for the perfect moment was costing them more than just starting imperfectly. They found the right guidance. They implemented real systems. They stopped letting time work against them and started letting it work for them. If you are ready to stop watching and start doing, the resources linked right below this video in the description exist specifically for that moment. For the person who is finally done with knowing and is ready to actually change. Most people will hesitate. Most people will save it for later. Do not be most people. The window you are standing in right now is exactly the one that changes everything. It is down below. Your future is worth the next 30 seconds.